The story of modern legends often begins not with a bang, but with a whisper, and this one starts in the quiet, sterile halls of an English orphanage. But Wami's house was no ordinary institution. It was a crucible for genius, designed to forge the world's greatest minds. It was here that a boy known only as L was raised. To the outside world, he was an enigma, the planet's top detective, a name spoken only in the highest echelons of global law enforcement. But to himself, L was something simpler, a player in search of the ultimate game. Justice wasn't a moral crusade. It was a complex puzzle, a grand intellectual challenge to be solved. And when a mysterious killer named Kira began passing divine judgment on the world's criminals, L didn't see a villain to be stopped. He saw an invitation to the greatest match of his life, a game he intended to win through pure, cold logic, fueled by an endless supply of sweets. L's arrival on the Kira case was a masterclass in eccentric brilliance. He began not with forensics, but with a grand, audacious bluff, sacrificing a death row inmate on live television to pinpoint Kira's location to the Kanto region of Japan with stunning accuracy. This was his style, bold, unconventional, and utterly dismissive of standard procedure. He quickly assembled a small, hand-picked Japanese task force, yet trusted none of them, communicating his true intentions only through his enigmatic handler, Watari. His methods grew even more daring as he zeroed in on his prime suspect, the brilliant high school student Light Yagami. In a move that defied all convention, L enrolled at the same university as Light, confronting his suspected rival face-to-face under a false name, initiating their psychological war in the open. Every bizarre quirk, his crouched, almost feral sitting posture, the delicate way he held objects between his thumb and forefinger, his diet of pure sugar was not a flaw, but a finely tuned part of a cognitive engine operating on a level beyond ordinary human comprehension. The world outside the task force, even the very concept of justice, all faded into the background. L's existence became a singular, obsessive focus, the intricate psychological duel with Light Yagami. For the first time in his isolated life, L had found an equal, a mind that could not only follow his logic but anticipate and counter it. This realization forged a strange, paradoxical bond. He saw in Light a kindred spirit, a fellow genius navigating a world of lesser intellects, and perhaps his only true friend. Yet this sentiment was perpetually at war with his unwavering logical conclusion. There was a 99% probability that Light was Kira. This profound internal conflict pushed him to take ever greater risks, culminating in the decision to physically chain himself to his suspect. In this final, desperate gambit, the line between investigator and captive, friend and foe, blurred into nothingness. He was no longer just solving a case. He was locked in a relentless endgame, pushing his opponent toward a final, decisive move. In the end, L's peerless logic was both his greatest weapon and his ultimate undoing. He successfully deduced the existence of the supernatural Death Note and the Shinigami, a feat of reasoning that bordered on the impossible. But his intellect, which could deconstruct any human system, was powerless against a force that operated outside of it. He had calculated every human variable but could not account for a god of death being manipulated by his opponent's chilling pragmatism. Cornered and outmaneuvered in a realm beyond his comprehension, L watched as his own name was written down. In his final moments, a life defined by solitude and puzzles flashed before his eyes. He died on the cold floor, defeated by the one rival who had ever truly challenged him. However, the system that had created him was designed for this eventuality. The game was not over. In the hallowed halls of Wami's house, the message had already been sent, and his successors, forged in the same intellectual fire, were already being prepared to finish the match he had started.